name is Lauren de Guglielmo and I'm currently undertaking my third year of a Bachelor of Primary Education. I have always had a passion to be a teacher and work with children to support their needs. For this assignment, I have chosen to focus on the content descriptor being describe patterns with numbers and identify missing elements. From here, the elaborations that I have chosen include describing a pattern created by skip counting and representing the pattern on a number line. I've also chosen investigating features of number patterns resulting from adding 2s, 5s or 10s. So to commence this prior knowledge activity, a class brainstorm will firstly start by the teacher leading a discussion in posing the question, who can tell me what number patterns are? This question will be displayed on the whiteboard so students can visually see the answers as they are being brainstormed. Once this brainstorm has occurred, the teacher will hand out the worksheet that needs to be completed by the students and get them to sit at their desks. The materials that students will need to complete this worksheet includes a lead pencil and coloured pencils. This prior knowledge activity that will firstly take place includes working with number patterns and identifying the missing elements. More specifically, here, students will be given a number chart with numbers from 1 to 100. However, within this number chart, there are 38 missing numbers which are required to be filled in by students. For example, the first row of 10 numbers has 1, 3, 4, 6, 7 and 8. So in this row, students will go back and fill in the numbers 2, 5, 9 and 10 which are missing. In this particular section of the task, there are no specific number patterns within the chart. This task has been set in place for the purpose to make sure that students are able to identify missing elements and practice upon writing their numbers up in order. However, the second part on the bottom of the worksheet provides students with instructions to complete. These instructions include colour all odd numbers between 50 and 80 pink, colour all even numbers between 1 to 30 blue, colour all the odd numbers between 40 to 49 yellow, colour all the even numbers between 82 to 100 green. This additional part of the task will allow students to practice work with identifying odd and even number patterns. Although these 4 instructions are set for everyone in the class, they can also be used as an additional challenge to students if the chart has been completed early. Here is an example of an above satisfactory Year 2 student's work. The second task that is included in this plan focuses upon working with pattern, objects and shapes. To open this lesson, the teacher will again begin with another class brainstorm that will endeavour to prompt students thinking around the question being, what is a pattern? Students will raise up their hands when they provide an answer and the teacher will go up and write their answers on the board. Once this discussion process has come to a close, the teacher will then demonstrate examples of patterns to students. The first example of a pattern that the teacher will show to the students is that of squares. In this pattern, the squares go from blue, orange, back to blue, orange, etc. The teacher will ask the class what the pattern is that they see and ask the students to say which colour would come next. For example, the pattern ends with an orange square, so the next colour would be blue, then orange again, and so on. The second example of pattern that the teacher will show the students is one with circles. This time the sequence of pattern is a little different. Instead of one colour after another, the pattern starts with 2 pink circles, 1 green circle, 2 pink circles, 1 green circle, etc. From this, students will again be able to recognise the pattern as a class and state which colour comes next. The last pattern that will be shown to students is that of triangles. In this pattern, the colours do change from one another again. However, the shapes also change size. For example, this pattern starts off with 1 big yellow triangle, 1 small purple triangle, and so on. The students will again establish what is going on with the pattern and then say what will come next. Once this class discussion and examples are complete, the teacher will explain the next task that the students will be undertaking. This task involves the teacher breaking students up into groups of 3 to 4 and working together with different materials to copy the 3 patterns shown to them and then create 3 of their own patterns as a group. The materials that students will get to use include pom-poms, feathers, pop sticks, pebbles, counters, blocks, pencils, and any other materials that they may choose. The teacher's role in this activity will be observing what the students are doing and making sure they are staying on task and are on the right track. Once the students have made the patterns on the board, they will then be asked to stop in order to create their own patterns. They will have about 10 minutes to create 3 different patterns using different materials for each one. Once this is done, the students will be asked to share with the class what they have done and continue a similar procedure to what was done at the start of the lesson. So the rest of the class will work out what comes next in each pattern. For example, one group may use 3 pom-poms, 2 pop sticks, 3 pom-poms, 2 pop sticks. Then the class will be asked to continue the pattern out loud. The third lesson that students will be undertaking includes a worksheet to expand on getting the idea of pattern, with shapes, colours, numbers and letters. Individually, students will sit in silence to do this task, as it will become a part of their summative assessment for this unit of work. At the start of the lesson, the teacher will briefly recap over the last lesson of pattern and then explain the tasks that will be done in this lesson. The teacher will hold up the worksheet to show the class what it looks like and explain to students that they need to continue each of the 7 patterns on the page. At the end, they will also get the chance to draw up their own pattern using any combination of colours, numbers, objects and/or shapes that they like. The materials that students will need for this task include coloured pencils. The first pattern on the sheet comprises of 1 purple, 2 green circles, 1 purple, 2 green circles. Here the students will draw 1 purple and 2 green circles until they get to the end of the page. This will indicate that the first pattern is complete. The second pattern on the sheet comprises of the same pattern that was shown last lesson to students, with 1 blue square, 1 orange square, etc. The students will again continue this pattern. The third pattern, however, is different as it comprises of letters such as A, B, C and back to A. The students will then continue to write the letters from here in the correct pattern sequence. The fourth pattern is of 1 tall yellow rectangle and 2 small red rectangles. The fourth pattern is of 4 black triangles, which will both be continued on. The sixth pattern comprises of numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4 back to 1. The last pattern has 2 arrows, one facing up, one facing down, one facing up, one facing down, also with different colours. Lastly, the box on the bottom is where the students are free to create their own pattern. Here is an example of an above satisfactory Year 2 student's work. The fourth lesson is number pattern bingo. Here students are handed out 2 separate materials. The first will be 3 tables. The first table is counting up by 2s with missing numbers. The second table is counting up by 5s with missing numbers. And the third table is counting up by 10s with missing numbers. The second materials that students will receive is a clear plastic Ziploc bag with small box numbers with the missing numbers from the table within them. Once this has occurred, the students will then go and sit at their tables. From here, the teacher will tell students to take out the numbers from the bag and spread them out on their desks so they can see them all. Next, the teacher will explain that the first table that everyone will be starting with is the table that starts with 2. Here the teacher will randomly call out the numbers missing from the table of 2s up to 24, and the students will need to stick the numbers where they belong in the right order. The concept of bingo works the same in this task, however there is no winner. What is trying to be achieved here is for students to have a fun hands-on activity whilst practicing counting by 2s, 5s and 10s. The same procedure will occur for the other 2 tables, then the answers will be gone through as a class. This last activity will comprise of a summative assessment piece to finish off the unit of work. The task that students will be completing is a poster with number trains on it and 1 pattern train. Each student will be given printouts of the start of the train and 12 carriage pieces for each. With this, students will firstly be directed to write out counting by 2s on the carriages up to 24. similar concept to the bingo. Once this is completed, the students will jumble the pieces up on their desks, then build their train on poster paper in the right order. Following on from the 2's number train will be the 5's number train, then the 10's number train, and finally the patterns train. Once these posters have been completed, the teacher will take them up for marking and then display them around the classroom. Here is an example of the rubric that will be used for this summative assessment piece, which outlines what is required for an above satisfactory grade, a satisfactory grade, and a below satisfactory grade. In order to extend and enable different learning abilities for students, the task may be altered in several ways. Some students may struggle with making their own patterns, so they may just continue with the ones on the sheet. Some other students may struggle with counting up in 5s but understand the concept of counting up in 2s. Therefore, each task can be adjusted to each student's learning abilities. For the students who are in need of a challenge, more numbers and trick patterns can be set in place for these students in order for an extension on the tasks. Also, for some of the students who need extra help, their tasks will be kept the same, however they will be able to receive additional help from an SSO.